Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Writers, content creators, singers, producers, people who are just gonna come out, enjoy themselves. We ain't trying to be in drama. We're trying to see if there's new musicians out there that you might become attached to. You might want to network and do business. I don't know. Whatever it is, holler at me. Shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, email. If you want to join, hit me up. But it's going down Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, it's going to be a whole show. We're going to have a topic. We're going to have performers. We're going to have all of it. So, yeah, tap in with me, all right?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Yo, what's up? What's the word? Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Monday, people. I hope all is well. I hope you had a good start to your week. I hope you had an even better weekend. I hope you got whatever you needed to get off. You got it in, and you came into this with a clear head. Hold on a second. I want to give them their time to get stuff in order. But yeah, I hope y'all had a productive, restful weekend. You've seen the beginning of this Saturday, the 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern. This is going to be a different type of show, man. It's going to be a different one. We got people coming to perform. I mean, we got singers. We're going to have the poetry. We're going to have the fucking podcasting going on. It's going down. Make sure y'all tap in Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Rob, what's going on, man? What's the word? How you feeling?
Feeling, man. Glad to be here. It was rough. We had a tragedy at the schoolhouse, so we kind of everybody bummed out right now.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
Yeah, we lost a little baby, man.
Are you doing okay?
Oh no, we lost a little baby over the weekend on the 4th grader. So everybody was sad all weekend. Since Saturday, we found out yesterday. But you gotta imagine the day we had today. It's crazy.
Condolences.
Definitely.
Condolences, definitely. Our condolences to the family, man.
Well, look, bro. We can just give a quick moment of silence out of respect, and we'll just try to dedicate this show to the little one, man.
Hey, I'm for it.
My thoughts and prayers to the school, to the parents, to everybody attached to that, man.
Straight up, thank y'all.
So I have a series of videos I'm gonna play here. A part 2. I couldn't find the part 1. I got part 2 and part 3. And essentially, what they're talking about is a scam. A scam that was supposed to be set up to invest in a group of kids. I'm not really too familiar with the lady that's being attached to this, but when I saw it, I said, "Yeah."
She's a congresswoman.
Okay. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna bring this one up on the screen, and we'll go from there. But like, I don't like scammers. I don't like people who go into other people's pockets for their own selfish gain. I don't like people who pretend to be about the people and really you're just about yourself. So let's go ahead and jump into this first clip, man.
They were pulling in $16 million in federal funds. But when investigators looked at the bank records, they found that the restaurant spent almost nothing on actual food. The owner, Salim Saeed, admitted in court that not only did he make millions of dollars in profit, but when prosecutors asked him to prove that he had bought food from major suppliers like Cisco, he couldn't provide any evidence. This guy was literally running a fake feeding program. And here's the most outrageous part. When the Minnesota Department of Education tried to investigate, Feeding Our Future accused them of discrimination and filed a lawsuit claiming their scrutiny violated civil rights laws. They played the race card. They freaking they played the race card as a human shield to hide their corruption behind. But the Omar scandal doesn't stop there. It gets even better.
We will stand bravely, dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
Wow, it's such an exciting time to be alive today. As we speak, America's regaining its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, and prosperous nation on earth. We're only 6 months into Trump's second term, and we already have so much to celebrate. Safe borders, the dismantling of DEI, $1 trillion in new investments in the U.S. economy. And just last month, America posted a stunning $27 billion budget surplus. It's the first June surplus since 2017 during Trump's first term. It's absolutely incredible. Trump is reshaping the entire economy, essentially righting the ship, which is now headed to much more prosperous shores. And what's most exciting is that this shift is creating massive opportunities for patriots like us to finally take control of our financial future. Listen, I believe we are truly standing on the precipice of what will be known as the most prosperous time in our nation's history, America's golden age. The only question is, will you be an active participant or will you be sitting on the sidelines watching everyone else build wealth? Well, the choice is yours, but if you want to be part of that former group, then I urge you to join me and my good friend Mark Wilburn next week for the Zero to Trading Online Bootcamp. Mark is a stock market August 4th, so click that link below right now, register today, and I'll see you for an event that promises to change your life. To make matters even worse, Ilhan Omar's husband, Tim Minette, is now facing his own fraud allegations. Minette and his business partner are being sued for allegedly defrauding investors in wine and marijuana businesses. You literally can't make this stuff up. One investor gave them $20,000 for a wine venture, expecting to triple his money in 18 months. Instead, he only got his original investment back a month late, and he's now suing for $780,000. But here's what's really suspicious in all of this. Omar's campaign paid her husband, Minette's consulting firm, $3 million before cutting ties after the 2020 election. That's some serious family enrichment right there. It sounds to me a little bit like she's gone Fannie Willis. Remember old Fannie, the DA from Fulton County, who was paying her boy toy hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars to prosecute Trump, and then the two of them went on lavish vacation trips together? I mean, they don't even hide their corruption anymore, at least the perception of that corruption. And what makes this story even more incredible is how the fraud was carried out, going back to the restaurant and food fraud scheme here. So these guys created shell companies with fake names generated from websites, and they submitted fraudulent attendance rosters with random ages between 7 and 17. One website claimed they bought 3,000 gallons of milk in 1 month. Another claimed to serve 52,000 meals in January. The numbers were absolutely ridiculous, but the money just kept flowing in. And then when things got too hot, they reportedly tried to bribe a juror with $120,000 in cash to get a not guilty verdict. I mean, these guys had so much stolen money that they were literally trying to buy the justice system. But here's what they're trying to cover up with Ilhan Omar's involvement here. You'll notice she's always right next to these scandals, but always claims she knows nothing. Her husband's businesses are collapsing amid fraud allegations. People connected to her are getting arrested left and right. Money that she helped authorize through legislation is then being stolen by people who donate to her campaign. At what point do we stop believing in coincidences? When you're using your congressional platform to promote restaurants that turn out to be fraud operations, maybe it's time for some real accountability.
Where do we begin? For the audience, I want you to know, make sure you do your own research. Most of the times when I bring things up here, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Now, I don't know how accurate this is. You know how social media is. AI creates stories. People create and generate stories, fabricate, do whatever they can to get attention on their channels. If that means they embellish a little bit or they add on things that ain't really there, people will do it. In totality, my initial thoughts on this is shocker. I'm shocked. More politicians playing around with the people's money. More people pretending to be superheroes when they're actually the villain. How do you feel about this? I mean, you say hey, you watched the two, and on top of that, I'm sure you are trying to figure out if this is really accurate or if it's just another one of those, BS stories that gets floating around the internet and it gets sensationalized. What's your take?
Sydney, you already went?
Not yet. I can go first if you or you. Either one.
I was lost in the sauce.
Well, one thing, this is definitely a smear campaign against her. She is very much hated by the right wing because of her ethnicity. They also don't like her because of a lot of her policies that are against what they want. She is for minimum wage increases. She's for universal health care. She's for student loan debt forgiveness. In fact, just recently, she and Greg Kaser are leading 49 lawmakers in asking Trump to reverse the $27 billion student loan interest hike that they just did. And she had, I remember when she first got in, she has always been involved in a lot of conspiracy around her as a result, because of the people that don't like her for who she is. She has a history of death threats as a result of her position. She even had what was he? Coast Guard? He's a Coast Guard individual arrested for plotting to assassinate her, disgruntled because he was against her kind. And there's also been a number of additional civilian threats against her as well. So I'm fairly certain that this is made up. She's one of the names that frequently comes up on the right as one of the people that they really don't like, because they link her to extremist groups that are in the Middle East. So I personally don't trust the story, and I don't think there was an incident with her and her husband in 2018 or 19, but they were found to have no involvement in that. The case was dismissed or dropped or whatever it was, but they were not found guilty in that case. And from what I've seen of her, because I've seen some of her speeches before, I really can't see her as somebody that would do that. She seems too genuine. But, I mean, you never know. Politicians.
Sitting through that disclaimer in there. No, I was having a conversation with some coworkers today, and we were saying that nobody makes all of that money legally. When you get to the high millions, I guess. And then for the regular people trying to come up, I don't think it's ever been a pull your boots up. You can lace your bootstraps up, and but for them, I think one or two things. I know they don't like her, and you know what happens when they don't like you. That's attack one. At the same time, I could see them doing something that other people do, because that's how they run their companies. So it's like, okay, you do it. We in the politics. This is what everybody does. But then when I do it, man, that's a big problem. I can see that happening too. I was thinking earlier, like, what would I say about, because we was talking about the charities and all that. I believe it's so easy to do, to take off the side, especially like if you're struggling or something. It's just so easy to just be like, you know what, let me pay myself, or let me do this, da 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 da. But for her case, I could definitely see somebody saying, well, this is what we always do, and they probably was just doing the same thing, if it's true. But if not, it definitely, I could see a smear campaign in the works too, because they've been trying to get her out of here from day one. And we know how Trump feels about it. He does not like her.
Is it impossible to be an honest politician? I mean,
we can make it harder with how everything is going, but it's not impossible.
If I'm going off of both of y'all's view here, it seems like she's just being met with a bunch of, let me destroy her reputation or make her look as bad as possible because she's opposing and going against everything that we're trying to accomplish here, which is completely not in favor of the general public. Like I said, I don't know much about her, but what I'm hearing is she seems to be a decent person. It's just she keeps getting met with a whole bunch of BS. I can't definitively pick a side on this, but I do know that most of these politicians are shady as hell. I do know that for a fact.
I think another reason why she might be targeted, not only is she young, they tend to go after younger politicians because it's easy. They're not part of the old boys club, you know. But she also was part of the 13 original politicians that filed the articles of impeachment against him after the January 6th incident. So I think there's also that, because she's a very outspoken, she's very much on the side that the Republicans do not like. She's associated with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's associated with Jasmine. She hangs out with a lot of the same policymakers that are actively trying to remove him from office. So I think that's probably also a large component, because not only is she a visual minority, but she's also a political minority in this old boys club type environment. And to tack on another, she is a woman. And we already know how white men feel about women of color. So she's a target for a lot of the same reasons that average Americans are.
And she Muslim. You know how that goes. I'm reading this book called In Their Names, and it's about survivors of violent crime and how there's a hierarchy of victims, to where the rich or the Eurasian, Caucasian, whatever, they get more victims' rights and more government assistance than blacks. And one of the chapters I just read, and it's all tangent, but one of the chapters I just read was about how the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre, the people never got reparations. They're just starting to, you know, acknowledge them. But then when Timothy McVeigh bombed the building in Oklahoma, the government changed the way court proceedings go. They brought cameras in the courtroom, so then they let victims start speaking out in the courtroom to say what happened, so that they could sway the jury. And we're looking at that stuff now, to where her being a woman, because even white women back in the days were treated horribly. And then they started making these laws, and then they piggybacked off the civil rights movement to get equal rights. But fast forward to now, I don't necessarily know, to your question, if politicians are dishonest. Most of them, I believe most of them are. But I think that you have to turn a blind eye. The conspiracy theorist in me believes that you're not getting that position unless you're willing to lie. So you may not say, you might hold the truth or something, because it's got to be the lesser of two evils. Something in the milk ain't going to be clean in order for you to get the votes, because it's a give and a take. So whatever you got to vote on, everything you vote on, especially right now, it ain't going to be good for the people. You see, they just going ham right now. It's like, it's wild. They support all the negativity. So I can see her being number one enemy for sure, just just because, even just wearing her head guard, I forget what they call it, but just that makes her stand out to where it's like, yo, she's a threat. We got to get her out here.
I can only imagine you'd have to be pretty knowledgeable of the job field that you're working in to be able to do that. For one, to be a woman, to be that young, to go into this situation where everybody else has already had their relationships built, they already have their structures, um, their meeting places, their hangouts, and you're coming into this like, okay, I don't know about none of this stuff here. So you gotta kind of rely on them to show you the right things, but you know there's a chance that they're probably not going to really help you out. They're going to probably what's the word, haze you, so to speak. Seems like this is a universal thing, man. It don't really matter if it's in the Oval Office or if it's in a McDonald's or a KFC. There's always greed. That it always seems to be the main factor in everything. But let's say, because even if we say this ain't a real story, and well, put it this way, let's say she ain't got nothing to do with it, but the story itself is actually real. Now we're talking about something completely different.
It's no different what they did to the Black Panthers. I was doing some research 2 weeks ago, and it's crazy because they did not break the law. Like, that was so awesome to me. They broke no laws, even when they was following the police around with the shotguns, even when they was taking their guns to the courthouse. All of that was legal. When they was feeding the people, they was doing their schools, they broke no laws. They wasn't even selling dope to clean the money to run the program. They was just running straight programming out of their pocket. So much so that when they got disbanded, the federal government followed what they did and started doing the free food program, the free breakfast for the schools, and started running their schools different and all of that. So we know that to be the case now. I mean, you look at these guys, right or wrong. I think that's a big problem. This is another thing I'm bring up too. A lot of time we think we could do what the other people could do, especially if you get a position of power. It's like, well, they doing it, I could do it. And then a lot of times they probably give you the green light. Like, hey, this is what we've been doing for years. Woo, woo, woo. Because even the girl, the older lady, Maxine Waters, who has always seemed to be a fighter, pro-black. Her husband was being investigated for laundering. I think it was like laundering and bank fraud. Something to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I could see them saying, "Hey, you know what? Come on, let's get this money. Don't worry, we're gonna pass this through." And then when it's time for the scapegoat, okay, we got you on something. Or I could see them saying, "Hey, you know what? Y'all been doing this. This is the law of the land. This is the way it works. So we're gonna do it too. Especially to get they talking about the wine and the weed. We finna get this money."
What would life look like without politicians?
We still need them because they are the ones that help maintain order, because when we have a population this large, we do need some semblance of order and scaffolding, I guess. And then, of course, there needs to be a liaison between the community and the justice system. So I think that we would definitely be more rowdy and all over the place and kind of disheveled if we didn't have this system set up for us. But I think that the method of selecting them has gone awry. I think the way that we introduce them into the system has messed up somewhere. And I think we are attracting the wrong types of people. B, we don't have enough incentives to encourage good behavior. We also don't have enough systems to prevent bad behavior. And I also think that we need to have some sort of law set up, monitoring to evaluate where politicians' money comes from and goes. Because I think really that is the biggest problem that we're facing right now, is that politicians' money capabilities are being kind of gray. The areas are graying. They're able to, I'll just give you the most upfront example. Our president. As president, you should not be, it's legally, you're not allowed to make money off of being president. The only money that you're allowed to be making is the salary that you get. Meanwhile, we have this individual who is selling Bibles, selling perfume and cologne, selling signed drawings, selling like t-shirts and fireworks and all sorts of random stuff. So he's making money off of his name in this position. And he's not an isolated incident. There are politicians across the board that are making money off of their positions through social media accounts, through merchandising, through making under the table deals, to starting up their own businesses and using their names to get the businesses across, there's all sorts of things. And I don't think that should be legal. If you are a civil servant, that is what a politician technically is. If you are a civil servant for the country, you should not be allowed to get money or power or influence besides what you get in your paycheck. It should be like set. This is what you get. I honestly think that they should even have like housing. Even like if you're a police officer, you live in this housing. If you are a blah blah blah, you live in this housing. Politician, whatever. Because I really think that they need to stop making housing, salaries, healthcare. They need to be rights. They cannot be dictated by whoever wants to give out the money. Like there needs to be a set, like if you're this person, if you're in this role, you get this much resources, you get this much money, you live in this type of house, you have this access to this healthcare and whatever. And the fact that politicians can basically come in and be a celebrity and make endless amounts of money and do whatever they want and get kickbacks from whoever wants to get whatever laws passed, that is not fair. And this type of environment also makes it easier to take down politicians that are good by all you have to do is accuse them of doing something that everyone else is also doing. And if you make it visible enough, you can remove them, even if 100 other people are doing the same exact thing. So I think it's all based on money, visibility, how much power you have. So I think that dynamic absolutely needs to be removed from the system, because that is what's enabling all of these individuals to siphon our money away from us, take away all of our programs that we rely on, and literally steal from every American citizen in this country.
As far as I'm concerned, we're all politicians then, in our own way. And if you ask me, every single person that has a seat there should all be replaced. I think the people should be more in control. If you're talking about just being unbiased and fair, and you will probably be better off with having a regular 9 to 5 man or woman sitting down having these conversations, we're going to most likely relate to the things and the grievances of the people. They can't relate. How could you possibly understand fixing a peanut butter jelly sandwich for a week straight because you can't afford to buy certain things in a store? How can you relate to somebody who has to pay or decide between a $10 pack of cigarettes and their gas because it's damn near $20 per gallon? The titles themselves it's gotten to a place where it's bothering me, because you can just attach a title to somebody and it's supposed to have some type of level of importance to it, but the responsibilities that come with it are being misused and handled poorly. As you stated. So to answer my own question, I don't trust them no more than I trust the people that I live around. For real, for real. Like, everybody, I ain't gonna say everybody, but you have those folks that they're gonna lie, they're gonna pocket some side money, and they're gonna cut deals for their people. If you're cool with them, they're gonna look out for you. Everybody else, good luck. It's a damn shame, though.
When you go ahead, Cindy.
That's kind of how I feel in general about anybody that's making money, like profiting off of anyone. Like, since probably college, I've gotten out. I used to have that like young person's mindset of like, oh, these companies care about us and they're trying to help us and they're trying to get these products that were good for us. And then once I got to college and started to really see the world, I was like, oh, anyone who makes money off of me just wants my money. They don't actually care about me unless I actually like live with them or know who their parents are. Like they don't care about me. And I think that's part of why we don't see good politicians these days, is because the politicians don't even know who we are. They're just as out of touch as the celebrities and the wealthy people living on top of a hill looking down at all the poor people. Like, they are so equally out of touch that they don't actually know what the regular guy needs. In the past, in the 1800s, early 1900s, the communities were so much smaller that the people that were running for office were the little guys. They knew the communities. They knew the states that they grew up in. Maybe they didn't know every single person, but the world sounds cliche, but it was a lot smaller. And so it was easier to kind of identify what people actually needed. It was more out in the open about the types of things that people were struggling with. And it was also, I don't know, I feel like it's harder to hide. It was harder to hide it back then. But now that we have so much everywhere, it's easy to just ignore it. Shut your eyes, not go into that area. Don't go to that part of the city. Don't use the subway, because then you don't have to look at the homeless people. Like, you just avoid that restaurant, because then you don't have to look at the prostitutes outside and think about the people that are struggling. Like, it's easy for wealthy people to just glaze over it and be like, oh, it doesn't exist. I don't see it. What are you talking about? There's no homeless people. We just tossed them over there. Like, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, you was already in queue.
Go ahead. Because you said
I was going to respond to Conspiracy Queen. I agree with you. I do. It's all systematic. We've talked about that before. And we the people, our voices actually matter. It matters more than we know it matters. How do I know that? Because just the very things that we think about and we look at on our phones is being monitored. Everything is being watched. Everything is being monetized or turned into an advertisement. They do everything based on impulse. They use our impulses and our desires and our ignorance against us to maintain a certain level of control and balance. Put it this way, to me, and I yield the mic. The politicians are there to make sure that we don't destroy every fucking thing. We don't riot. We don't burn everything down. We don't destroy the police force. We don't march on everybody, and we don't, pretty much say, look, enough is enough. Guy got to go. Yeah, you ain't got to go, but you got to get the hell out of here. Here's your eviction notice. See you later. We're putting somebody else in office. So they are pretty much there to make sure that we have a smile on our face and we kind of just turn a blind eye to it, and we don't take the proper courses of actions to deal with that shit. But that's all I was going to say.
Now, listen, I'm with y'all, man. The for your first question a while ago, people will govern themselves, and we know that for a fact. Like the alphas come out when you put a group of people together. All you gotta do is keep them together for a day or two, and they'll self-select their roles, and then after a while they'll say, okay, they'll vote. Every other civilization, they had wars, right? But that was over like a famine. Somebody might have stole probably over a girl or two, but it wasn't as brutal until they started coming into the capitalist thing. But you see what happened with Rome, how Rome fell in on itself, trying to take over. You see all of those guys. You see Hitler, he wanted to take over the world because he said after he did finish with Europe, he was coming to America and this and that. Fell on itself. And now this system is falling apart. And the reason why I believe a lot of this stuff is repeating itself is just for the simple fact that we haven't changed the Constitution, right? Because what is the Constitution? It is a private deal between landowners, between wealthy people. So the politicians, they made something so that they could have laws they could break, so that we follow, like you said, so we don't tear their stuff up. And now they're in a mad rush to try to sway all of the resources to where they starving each other off, right? But if you pay attention, all you gotta do is look at all the movies. Look at Braveheart. Look at all of those movies about the feudal system in Europe with the king and how they was rebelling against the king. And then look at all the kung fu movies. What was that? They was always rebelling against the government. Somebody, even if they had to infiltrate the army, join the army to become the general so they could treat the people better. So all of these governments, when they developed the money thing, I think that corrupted everything. So for us, we can't do nothing until we change that whole foundation to make it more inclusive. And it's pretty much always been like this. It's just that everybody got a camera, right? Because what president or what governor wasn't corrupt, like where we at right now. I'm in Florida. They took African American history out the curriculum. They took the funding for anybody, any university or college, community college that promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion. I read a letter from the governor here that said you can't teach about slavery. You can't make anybody feel guilty for something that they ain't have nothing to do with, even if their parents was involved. So they try to whitewash everything again And it's legal because we never change the laws. Like, we get out here and talk, we riot. Every once in a while, we might tear stuff up, but we don't change the base. And I look at it like, even when they did the Emancipation Proclamation, it still took 10, 20 years for some states and some towns to acknowledge. Even when they did the Brown versus Board of Education, when they ended the segregation, it still took some states 10, 15 years to where the feds had to come in. So with that, as long as we're not changing them ground rules and that agreement, which is the worst because it doesn't include any of us unless you was a millionaire, and then we already know the color. You could be a millionaire, you would still be a ninja in a coupe, like Kanye said. So that double standard is still there, but we'll still keep having these same results. Like you said, Sydney, that guy's this president or whatever is supposed to be, he's not supposed to be making money, but he's about to meet with some officials on his golf course. Like, yo, what y'all, you know what I'm saying? What y'all got going on? But as long as you look and you see that that foundation, that paper is the same, ain't nothing finna change.
The best example, whenever I think of, I used to think that charities were like, oh, if it's a nonprofit, they're just doing it because they care. Like, they're not doing it for money. I also don't believe that anymore. As I said, if they're trying to make money, I don't believe them. Bill Gates was the one that made me realize that. The fact that him and his wife, for a while, I was like, oh, but they're so good. They've donated millions of dollars and done all this stuff. And then it dawned on me finally when I was, again, in college, oh, they get a tax break. All that money they're donating is taxes they don't have to pay. Whoa. I feel like that kid in that, like, infomercial. Wow. Like, it was, and when I learned that, everything else made sense. I was like, that's why you have all of these politicians starting foundations and all of these celebrities having foundations and what do you call it? Anyway, they have all these organizations and stuff, and they're like, oh, I'm going to save the dogs and I'm going to save the children. And I've heard stories over the years of like, oh yeah, that money actually never goes to them. And I used to like, what are you talking about? Like, people would just, but it's exactly what the mob does. It's a front. They get the money and then they can distribute it to other means and be like, oh yeah, it's for the puppies. And then they send it to their campaign. And I think that's another, I don't even know if we know how bad it is, like how deep it goes. But I really think that a lot of these charities are just another way for these politicians to secretly funnel money in and out to their constituents, to themselves, to their homes and stuff like that. So I think that's another thing that really needs to be decoupled and needs to be looked at, is this whole, where are these donations going? Where are these what are these nonprofits actually doing? Are all of these big giant, I'm trying to think, there's a couple that have always been like it's the one with like the, oh my God, I can't remember. I remember there was one, it was for kids. I think it was either like for foster kids or for kids that were sick in hospitals. But I remember back, it was like 2016, they found out that like 86% of the profits were going straight to the directors of the organization and not to the kids. I think like 5 to 15% of the money was actually going to help the kids in the hospitals or wherever they were. And it's stuff like that I often wonder how many of these organizations that we see rich people like, oh yeah, all of this money is going to help the wildfire victims, the blah, 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 blah. Are they actually doing anything, or are we just padding their pockets even more?
Conspiracy queen cooking.
Going off right there. She need to be up here.
St. Jude's. That's what it was. St. Jude.
Listen, think about the nun. What was the Mother Teresa? Said she was as wild as they come, and that stuff come out. I could see people like starting these organizations, and you start out good. The intent is good, you know, but at the same time, if you're not being paid from your regular job or whatever, and you get a chance to take a little money on the side, you probably be like, man, I'm gonna pay myself, man, so I'm working hard, da 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 da. And that would be cool if you develop a program that actually benefits people, then you probably deserve something. But if you just taking it to be taking it, yeah, that's a problem. But like you said, it's nothing new. This is the American way. This like you gonna either turn the blind eye, you gonna do something crooked if you want. You know what I'm saying? But I know one thing for certain: if there were people who were able to make it on their own, like you said, Sydney, right now, it ain't happening. I don't even see it right now. They put the gates, bro. Even you can look at something as simple as what we trying to do on YouTube, right? We trying to get monetized, and every single time I get to, I need 4,000 hours. I got to 3, and when I promoted the video that went viral on my page, it had to be shadow block. I hit 100, 200,000 views. How did it just stop going out the blue? And right there, when I was close to hitting the 3,000 hours or the 4,000 hours, all my views drop. I'm losing like 10 hours a day, 20 hours a day. And I know that's because I'm not paying for subscriptions. I'm not paying. They want you to pay. And part of me is like, I would pay, but it'll take 5 years to make that bread back. Plus, that doesn't guarantee that I have real listeners. You know what I'm saying? So, back to these politicians, yeah, it's a tax write-off. The church alone is the worst because they can't. So, I'm thinking like, okay, the church probably hiding the drugs. They probably dealing in the trafficking and all that because you can't search the premises. You can't tax. Like, everything is coming through these churches because you look around and you see these churches on every corner, but every city is messed up. Like, what city do we have right now that's thriving where people not struggling and everybody's coming together and they're working together for the better? These cities is horrible. The roads, we just drove through some towns. The roads was crazy. I thought I was finna lose a tire driving through some areas the other day. And it's just like, yo, what are y'all doing with all this bread? Like, where is it? Where's it going? And I know that's tradition. To be real about it is just like, yo, listen, yo, you down? Yeah, I'm down. Well, come on, let me show you how to do this, that. Don't worry. And then when somebody get caught or somebody about to get exposed, they do them like Omar or whoever. They do them like Cosby. They do them like Kelly. They do them. You know, I hate to say it, Diddy, he was not a nice guy, right? We know this for a fact, but they did not have the same energy for, they won't tell that girl files. Why won't they show what she was doing? Why they don't have the open documents for what, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's all of that info? How they expose everybody. They got R. Kelly. They had Mike Jackson, and all of a sudden, this guy, even Weinstein, they let Weinstein go for a minute before they really, you know what I'm saying? He still gets to appeal his cases. So it's a two. We know it's a two systems. We know that for a fact. So then that'll make it 3 because now it's not only a system full of color lines. Now you bring in the money. You get the money, you probably get off. If not, you gotta go.
Imagine being one of those people. You're honest, you're on time, you're constantly filing papers, you went to school for what exactly you're doing. You get there and you're around people like Hillary Clinton and Trump and all of these big shot politicians and political influences, but you're not on their pay scale. You're just somebody who you're getting paid for what you went to college for. And you see everything. You know how they have documentaries and these shows where they blur out the person's face and they tell you all the dirt. I wonder how many people are like that right now that have spent years and years and years just observing and documenting, and they can't say nothing, or they're kind of questioning their reasoning for even still working there. They want to say something, but they scared to say something. I wonder how many people are actually in those positions right now. Because the truth be told, if you wanted to bring them down, there are enough of them folks that are there that know exactly what we talk about, and they have real proof. But for whatever reason, they refuse to allow their moral compass to supersede their fear for whatever might come back and haunt them. You said something, Conspiracy Queen, about spiritual warfare. Nobody really talks about that a lot. We talk about everything else but that part. And the spirit of error, greed, pride, lust, all of those things. When you talk about corruption, you talk about cheating, infidelity, um, gambling, habits, addictions, any of that stuff. It always stems back to spirituality for me. Most people just look at the surface level of it, but you got to understand a lot of them people, they are operating with demonic energy. They are influences that assist in the mechanics that they are operating. So that's you're the vessel. The car won't move unless there's energy flowing through the battery, gets the gas going, et cetera, et cetera. You have to have something to get the machinery to do the job that it's supposed to do. Well, humans are vessels. We don't just run off of a beating heart. You have to have energy. There has to be a source. Now, whatever you decide to do with that energy and that power that's flowing within you to give you strength to lift, build, communicate, whatever, that depends on you. But I think a lot of these people are pretty much under some type of demonic influence, just like a lot of the world is. So, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that you said in the comments. I've been reading. Sydney too, Rob too. Who is that? I just heard somebody pull up in the studio. Who is that? Knight? It's Knight. All right. Hold on, sir. I'm gonna bring you up.
Yeah.
Yo.
What's good? Sorry about that. I had to pull up source material for this just to make sure there.
Yeah, bro. Just to catch you up, we're pretty much talking about the politicians and the government, them, doing us dirty with donating and pocketing money, and we've gone down the rabbit hole. We're probably all the way down there somewhere.
You say down there? I'm in
Yeah.
Florida, so you talk about this. It's like, what's in the news right now, especially about this topic, right? DeSantis. Sorry. So yeah. How about that?
Real quick.
I mean, what part of Florida? I'm sorry.
I'm in Miami, so I'm surrounded by an existential crisis. I thought people had more sense than this, but every day I'm proving that the kid in the back of the class is like, hey, like let's give him a pass. No, I might have not liked the school, I might have not cared for the work, but I had to get through school with some kind of like sense so that I didn't end up in jail. And we got a criminal as the as the president. What an upside down world.
Go ahead, D. What you were saying?
I was just gonna say, Rob, night walk. Rob, because I don't believe y'all had a chance to properly meet. You know what I'm saying? He's, and I just want to bring up too, real quick, before we go back into this. Let me say this: we do have a woman joining us. She's going to be joining us really soon, probably tomorrow. So, Sydney, you won't be by yourself up here no more. I've been thinking about that for the longest time, and I'm like, man, it's unfair. I don't like that she asked. You've been holding it down. Not gonna lie, you've been holding it down. But I really believe that you have to have that balance. So,
yeah.
Shout out to the young lady, man. Me and her talked earlier. Pretty cool vibe. Comedian. She has a lot going on too. So, hopefully everything pans out. I get to bring everybody up here, and but to basically get to the root of this, because we already chopped down most of the tree. Mike, since you're pulling up, how do you feel about politicians? How do you feel about pocketing donation money? The video that I had played originally, and I guess I could play it again, but basically it's this scandal where they're trying to blame the woman for being a part of a multi-million-dollar nonprofit thing that was supposed to go to feeding children and a whole lot of little other stuff. But we ended up going from, well, they're trying to target her for being a woman, being young, being impressionable, to, all right, well, what's wrong with our government? What's wrong with the people that's in these? It's a lot. I know
that is a lot. I'm like, where do I start? And halfway through that, I'm thinking, is he talking about this, or is that another scandal? And I'm reading the headline, and I said, Ilhan Omar in another scandal. Like, okay, well, that's different, because the governor here, Ron DeSantis, his wife is in a scandal over $10 million donation that was given to Hope, Florida, which is for kids. And they pocketed this $10 million so that she's using it to pay off her own personal expenses. This is in the Orlando Sentinel, and it was covered by NBC. So this is not like, oh, it was done and like hidden away. Everybody saw it, and then he's like, no, never mind that. And then he opened Alligator Alcatraz in the meantime. So, I could only chuckle, because I said, this is the type of villainy we only read in the comic books growing up. Like, outright, like League of Supervillains in the swamp, plotting, scheming, like how we're going to, I woke up this morning with an extreme headache because of the type of, like, you're just surrounded by it. You're kind of going, is there any kind of like replete? Is there any way to like put up your hand, stop, please, guys? This is just too much. They're doing this already with money, wealth, and power, and they're continuing to do it. And the majority of us are just watching, like, well, we obviously don't support it. They're doing it for themselves. They're not doing it on the benefit of, like, oh, we're doing it for the little guy. Politician's a politician, no matter what platform they stand on. The game itself is corrupted. It's about power. And any game of power is played where people are just trying to influence other people to think like them or to think the same. I mean, I don't want to get overly philosophical about it, because most people cannot get on that point, because that gets into individual inclinations. But when we talk about politics, it's like whatever's popular, Who's getting the power today? Oh, it's this group. Okay, they're going to support whatever policy you're going to send to them, and the other group. It's never like we're making something everybody can stand on. It's always they're taking it from someone else. Like they could definitely, build a better system that you benefits that group without having to disenfranchise somebody. But that's just how they play the game of power. I get to a point where I lack the Constitution to keep my composure, because I just feel like they're just trying to kill us. They want to kill us. They want to kill us. They want to fight. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, let's just argue about it. Let's write a well formulated letter, a tight complaint, because that's what the Democrats are doing. Which I'm a registered Democrat here, but only because they don't have my party distinction. Never had my party distinction ever since I became a registered voter here in the state of Florida. I was originally independent, and I do that as a reflection of my thoughts. I'm looking at three, just to put it out there, three platforms: education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Infrastructure meaning utilities and transportation. Anything else, we have enough private industry. Somebody can make a business. This is America. People will make a business, put money behind it. Politicians are just a better salesperson. So like all of that little schemes is super villainry. Like I'm looking at DeSantis right now. I did not vote for him on two separate occasions, because the first time his campaign was trying to build a wall. So he was being a Trump cheerleader, and a majority of Florida outside of Miami thinks like the Republican base. So when people think of Florida, they're not thinking of Miami. Miami is very mixed and has a lot of people from all over the place, because that's how you get labor. You can't homogenize labor. Everybody has to have a shot of it. So naturally Democratic, but the rest of the state, I feel like I'm living in the graveyard, like everybody dead, and I wake up and I'm just like, get me out of here. But at the same time, it's a beautiful place, and everybody has a right to live here and make it their home. But they're not playing fair. And these politicians, I don't have any other option. I feel like we should, if they don't agree with it, we just kill them. We just shoot them in the street. Oh, you don't want to support the people? Bam. Next. Oh, you don't want to support the people, affordable. How else are we going to live there? They're trying to kill us. Bam, kill them. Bye. Just like they do in other countries. You don't want to support the working class? Okay, cool. We know where you live. You ain't sleeping tonight. We're going to be up. So I'm against it. I wish Americans just wake up to those facts. We can't trust them at all.
Yo, I'm in Tallahassee. I'm 20 minutes to the west of Tallahassee, Florida.
Brother Rob, and I'm gonna say that on point. I went to Tallahassee a couple years ago. I was working for solar, and you think solar in Florida is like selling ice to an Eskimo. How easy is that, right? Like, everybody wants solar, right? FPL already moved on that. I went to Tallahassee. We got up in a bus, and went all the way up there. Went to Tallahassee, marched around Capitol Hill, and they still took the right away from us. They don't care.
No.
They don't care.
Hey, I don't know if we're supposed to do this. I'm taking a page from Cindy book. This book is called In Their Names by Lenore Anderson. And to your question a few minutes ago, Deep, about the people that take notes to protect themselves and why they don't come out, because we know what happens when they do come out. The whistleblowers, you pretty much got to lead a country, lead a town. If not, you get killed or exiled or put in prison. And this book right here it was saying that back in the day, even especially for Black folk who wasn't protected under the law until probably about the 1930s, that the only time that they could testify or investigate when it was Black on Black crimes, but they had no power to testify against white people regardless up until like the 50s, 60s. So when we to 2025 to where we have this guy was impeached, which makes me realize that presidents are chosen, not elected. And then he came back as a convicted felon.
Bruh, what is wrong with this country? Seriously, Is there like some fog in the air? Like, are we under some kind of spell?
Orange
That
fog.
I'm both frustrated. You can tell I'm both frustrated and like angry. It's like a weird mix, and I don't know where to put it safely to not hurt anybody. But at the same time, these people are not. They're not resolved. And you say fluoride. That that's ridiculous because we have a running 30-year science experiment to see that fluoride actually is beneficial. Because without it, people's teeth rotted out of their heads. So there's statistics which people don't read. I mean, I've seen people defend adamantly facts that didn't exist. Like, just read the papers. I read phys.org. You can read primary research, people showing you the experiment, the graphs and stuff, the math that you just, I don't say, look up the patents. Again, read the 30 plus years of scientific research. You know what's going on in Flint? I can tell you right now that water is poisoned. That's not fluoride, okay? That doesn't take a weatherman to tell you where the wind is blowing. So we could watch 30 plus years of people teeth rotting out of their heads without fluoride in the water to realize, maybe fluoride does help. And then it's these hard lessons we constantly have. Well, lead, we have the Roman Republic as a living example of what lead does to a population. It made them all crazy. Like, again, I see that people even want to argue, it's because you use facts. Well, yeah, that's how we ascertain what's real. Facts, man. Like, I'm not going on vibes. If I walk in the streets and don't look either way, I might get hit by a car. My hubris is not going to overcome traffic laws. I mean, we got to trust the people that do the science.
Just imagining somebody come up to the street and be like, is the light red or green yet? I don't know. I just go how it feels.
I live in Miami. That's like a daily occurrence. Go to Brickell. There's people dancing in the street. I'm not gonna get hit, and a car knocks them. And then there's literally like 5 people with a camera phone recorded, and they're trying to fight the accusation. Bro, you were in the middle of the street on a green light outside of the crosswalk. There's like, and you go to every other country, and it's like, it is on vibes. It is on vibes. People literally live in the bush and don't have the education to like, argue on those precincts. But then it's here where, and this is a saying they always say in my family is, you can't get lost in America. There's signs everywhere. Everything is delineated. You cannot get lost. It's outlined right there. And people still choke on the toy that is not made for the 3-year. I'm not insulting your intelligence. No.
The number of people that will walk into a door that's clearly labeled push or pull or whatever.
Come on. And I've seen people walk into doors in Japan only because they expected all doors to be automatic. So it's something you're used to. You walk to the door and it doesn't open. You walk right into the door. But here it's like big thing. It says PULL, and they're like, or they show up just before the store opens and the hours are on the door.
When it all boils down to it, humans are just essentially impulsive. They're lustful. They're prideful. They're vindictive. We are fickle. You're pretty much everything that you can think of. Like, if you're someone who doesn't understand what greed and having power does to a person, you don't know how to handle the responsibilities of being in a position to oversee workers, pedestrians, just humans in general. You're of course you're going to take advantage of it. Damn. Of course, we just talked about Shannon Sharpe and his mess. Like, when people are using their flesh to dictate the way that they're going to live life, you're pretty much going to get exactly what you see. Everything that we're getting is a manifestation of someone's greed, desire, hunger for more. et cetera, et cetera. That's
Say that
all.
again. Say that again. Say that again. Oh my God. Ain't that the truth? Oh, I'm trying to reflect on this.
You tell
This is so bad.
It's funny because when you say that to people, it's like, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. You just act like you know it. And what do you mean? People sleeping with the same person over and over and over again. Having one guy has 13 kids by the same women. Them same women are sleeping with one dude.
Maybe allegedly.
But
I'm not calling them out, but allegedly.
My point is do you not notice there's a pattern? You know what I'm saying? And it goes for politicians. Everybody has their own formula, their own science. They think
that's not science, though. You have to have it peer reviewed.
No. What I mean by science is their own worldly, demonic, fleshly playbook on how they want to operate their life and how they want to rule and do things the way that they want to do them.
That ain't
all for it to blow up in their face and everybody else's.
Yeah, that's not gonna work, man. We don't measure the distance with different yardsticks. We got to have a standard, and that standard is rigorous so that no one person is using it against each other. Everybody can use it to measure the same distance. It literally ascertains the same thing. If you get different answers, your math is wrong. That's how you could know. We don't want to be wrong. I feel like some people they're trying so hard to be right. They don't understand what wrong is. And I'm like, we don't want to be wrong, guys. So we have to be diligent in trying to find the right answer, not just, oh, well, never mind that, put it down. Come on, we got to try that. So it's frustrating.
I think there is one subset though that I've noted. I don't know if it's always been a thing, but I've noticed it a lot more in the last like probably 10 years or so of the people that take pride in just being contrarians, where they don't even want to argue on logic. They just want to argue for the sake of arguing. And I think that's a thing that we're dealing with right now. We have a lot of contrarians that are online, that are politicians, that are giving information to people. And I think that's super problematic because it's taking away the attention from scientists and academics and people that actually know the information, because they're not interesting in comparison to somebody that's being argumentative and yelling and saying like catchy things and possibly stupid statements that other people might find funny. And they'll be like, oh, that's a good gotcha, even if it wasn't even accurate.
You wonder what they were raised on.
Yeah. So I think we've also seen a rise in the number of people that aren't even putting up good faith arguments, and it's a distraction for everyone else who is actually trying to understand what's happening. And if you are trying, like for example, if I went on YouTube to try and do research on a topic, I'm also going to find a bunch of hearsay. Here's my opinion. This is what I think. I watch these videos. This is my reaction. But people will take that as evidence. And there's a greater number of people, I think, that don't understand how to properly use evidence to formulate an understanding of something. They just see one thing and they're like, "Ooh, this is catchy, so I'm going to go with this." And they don't investigate further. They don't cross-check other articles. They don't see what other experts might say. Right. They're just like, "Oh, well, that's what it says, so that's what's happening." And
absolutely.
Now we see where that gets us.
I mean, Deep, you remember I mentioned about context? I had this post about context, and I say in walking around in life, we don't have context. You walk by a tree, you don't see readily how the tree was there, grown. It had to be grown from some seedling at some point. You just weren't there, but all the evidence is present if you are given context that it went through all of this stuff, meaning that you know enough, right? But on the internet, you could be post a video, and with the internet, everything's timeless. So if you research something enough, the answer is already there. Everything that anybody needs to know is already on the internet. So context has to go hand in hand with anything seen on the internet. In life, people just had to accept what they saw, grow up, eventually see some other things, and build that over time, right? But just like Sydney's saying, like that's that. I think it's like people confusing the two, right? Because the internet, you don't need context up front. You just say, "Oh, I'm being presented some information. Let me look that up. How many instances was that brought up? And oh, is there any cross reference?" But you have to make that decision. In life, if you see something, it's right then and there. You gotta move on. Tomorrow comes, right? So it's like people are taking what in real life works, but just you have that superpower online, and people aren't exercising it. So you just see a lot of this whole rage baiting videos. Like that someone pointed to my generation, millennials, being a sucker for. And I'm like, I'm checking myself because I really don't even want to spend enough time on the internet to see a video that states an abrasive opinion or somebody being caught in a situation. And it's like, what would I do type of thing for me to have, like, why am I analyzing this? What court of opinion did I elect myself to sit here and go, was that the right thing to do? Why am I spending time with this? Where am I feeling like I'm an expert to debate this? And it's literally like a whole timeline's filled with videos like this. Like, presents me a situation out of context, presents me someone's viewpoint out of context, and then it's like wants me to engage with it. I'm like, I just want to post my art. I just want to be left alone. I want to see my friends on here and talk about how they live and where they at. But it's everything's driving a wedge. This contrarian, I don't know what that energy is, has infiltrated deeply into people's psyche. They come online just to do this. They don't come online to contribute to the flow of humanity. I felt like every time I went outside when I was younger, it was my time to participate in the world. Now they're just here to give their opinion, and that's that. And someone wrote that on Threads, that it's giving us the illusion that everybody's on the same level with that. And there are experts. They're truly people who know what they're talking about, have spent years, not months or dabbled on it part-time. No, they are literally involved in it. And it's the same thing with like the tariffs debate. There's a video of a guy who was arguing down about how tariffs are going to help the American people. And there was a guy who was 2 steps away who's like, I deal with import and exports for 20 years. And I'm going to tell you right now, nope. And he's breaking it down. The guy's like fighting him tooth and nail and every point. But he's like, I believe, or don't you feel like, I'm like, I don't need to feel anything if I'm looking at numbers and I see how people behave. And I can count on that. Like I could count that tomorrow is going to be Tuesday. This is not a vibe situation, brother. And he's like, what? And he's like, I clearly don't understand. I clearly am not educated enough. And he walked away. So I'm like, that guy's not going to change his idea. This is a plague. This is a sickness or something that is taking over. I want to say at least 80% of the population. I don't want to feel like I'm special, but
anyone with a phone.
It's a lot of people being sucked into this thing, whatever it is, Sid. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm still weirded out by people talking on Bluetooth because I think they're talking to themselves, and it just makes mental disorder look fashionable or normal. And I'm like, they need help. And I stopped being on Twitter years ago. Like years ago, I already knew before Dorsey sold it, because I was like, this is literally becoming like everybody. It's just you're shouting opinions in the void, and who wants to argue with me? And I'm like, nobody wants to just like talk. Everybody just wants to converse. I know. I'm like, this is ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, and I personally don't know what kind of warfare we're gonna fight for it. And that's why I keep showing up to these things. That's why I keep showing up. Somebody out here is thinking. I appreciate that. Really do.
Rob, did you want to add anything to this before we close out? because that was a lot, bro. Bro, be cooking though.
I'll be rapping, man. Sorry.
Yeah, nah, you good, you good. That's the whole point of these discussions in the first place. I don't disagree. I think everybody here, for the most part, said something that registered in its own way. Um, what was I about to say? Because I was thinking it too.
Mm-hmm.
People need to pray more. I just put it like that. People need to pray more and become a little more educated on some of the things that our politicians are benefiting from. Because if they know it, we can know it.
That meditation, that part. That's
they know all the loopholes. They know all the ins and outs. There's no reason why we can't be just as knowledgeable if that's something that we want. But I will hand the mic over to y'all if y'all want to say anything before we close out. Shout outs to Conspiracy Queen. Shout out to everybody that's watching.
Right. I'm gonna end with this. The federal government is going backwards as we speak because they have not changed the Constitution and a lot of laws that surround it. And it's going to get crazy because it looks like it's going back to the feudal days in the village to where if you wanted your child to have a good education, you had to pay for it. They just cut the Section 8, I heard, to give people like 2 years. They're cutting the food stamps. So we go back to a free for all, add all of these distractions so that the people could go against each other instead of going against the real powers. I also want to take the time to think about the people that's struggling and they don't have no time to be focused on this stuff. You got to have time to think. So a lot of times, especially with no way to change this stuff, I don't blame a lot of people for coming home and putting on their TV or scrolling all day. After you did hard 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours of work, so many people working 3 and 4 shifts, 2 and 3 jobs, they don't feel like thinking when they get home. You know what I'm saying? As long as their family is taken care of, I kind of don't knock them because I talk to people all the time and they say, if I thought like you all day, I would have went crazy already. I would have just went crazy because you can't, we know this stuff is happening, but what we gonna do? And sometimes I'll be wanting to be like, oh man, you lazy or whatever. But at the same time, these are the hardest working people in the world and their house is intact and they make sure that they take care of their family. So I don't really knock because a lot of times I wish I could delete some of this information. And then I also know my day coming. You know what I'm saying? So we got to balance that. But what I do really want to end with is that we got to go back to those old laws that's allowing this stuff to happen because clearly the votes don't work. And if you don't have no organization, you don't have no capital, you really have no say. So I would encourage people of all colors, of all classes, as they say, to come together, to organize, to see if we could come up with a common goal and get this thing to sway in our favor. And then also to set checks and balances so that if we do get to those levels and those statuses, that we don't become like those people. And I'm going to always say this, I'm glad that I stopped my bad behavior when I did because I already know. And people be like, well, what did you do? Don't worry. I already know. I just know that I stopped. I don't do it anymore. And every day that I wake, I see if I can help somebody life being better.
All right. I will end with a poem. This one is called Trapped in a Jar, and it's supposed to talk about how it feels to live in this country. Sitting in the bottoms of a jar, like the discards, the stains, the remains, chewed up desperate fingerprints, pasting hazy reminders on the walls that you exist to be casually deprived by glassmakers and their diamond hides. You peer helpless through windowed lies, slamming your senses with riled up fists, fed from the rage of pissed off chicks and men that can see through the mist, past the wistful illusion of manumission, who knew the cruel, inescapable grift. Refusal to embrace perfunctory thal, you bang on mandate soundproofing, wrapped flesh to your emotional rind, staring at opaque ceilings, determined to oppress you and your kind, for having feelings we humans design. We want to be heard and reject the revile. The peace we pursue will always require heartfelt revival, rejecting denial. For even if you slit your wrist to shatter your crystal prison, dying for freedom will always remain worthwhile.
Right on. Appreciate you sharing that. It's beautiful. My final thoughts are much to what Rob ended on, and I always will remain on this point, is take more advocacy in education. That will really solve a lot of our problems. If we admit first to ourselves, I don't know, let's find out, and accept the truth of what we find. A lot of people dig in rubble, not to look for the answers, but to look for trouble. Find things that they can formulate their own answers and not develop a better question. You know what I'm saying? The questions that we're asking are not really fit for the answers we're really wanting. So we lack the vernacular to form those type of questions when we don't do diligence in finding the truth. And I mean, without mercy, look for those truths. And yes, if you want to see change out there, you have to be the change. I've been in organizations, I've been in group meetings. As an artist, art advocacy is my biggest kind of thrust for education. It allows us to see and experience the world and understand what we're looking at in a deeper sense than just what appears to us, but how it got there and how is it constructed, and really be able to pass that on. So yeah, I really hope the best for people, at least those that are still thinking out there. We will find those answers, and never give up that fight, because I don't know how we survived this long, but it ain't the end yet. No, sir.
Shout outs tonight, Rob, Sydney. Shout outs to Queens. I see you. I appreciate your feedback. I always love the interactions between the comment section and the panel. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Again, I send my condolences to the people out there with you, Rob, man. To the people that are watching, man, drive safe. Oh, by the way, I got my brand new ones. Yeah, digs. Yeah.
My mother-in-law stepped on her glasses like right before she was leaving to go back home, and I thought made me think, I was like, oh no, it's the curse.
Yeah, man. I was so pissed, but them joints came today. I got some joints that I ain't even wore yet. I'm gonna throw them on probably tomorrow. But yeah, man, we about to get up out of here. Much love to everybody. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, peace. Oh, one thing before you go, do me a solid.